Hi, Rob. Thank you for your genuine questions. I really, really appreciate them. And it's a good way to start, always to call the person you're asking a really humble guy. Hopefully, one day we can meet and you can find out whether that's true or not. I've just thought I'd send you a quick video, and this is I'm filming it. I'm not editing it into any fancy way or anything. It's just I've scribbled down a few notes, and I'm just gonna bring it out that way. I'm not gonna put it on my main channel. I'm just gonna put the link in the chat, so only people that read your question will be able to find my video answer. So I hope that's okay, and feel free to respond in the chat or via video. That'd be totally fine, however you would prefer. So yeah, you had some really great questions. So let's have a look. Yeah, you start off by talking about mystery society, mystery groups that kind of connect with lonely people, and that's absolutely true. You can't deny that. Totally true. And yeah, so I think that's where a lot of missionary organisations find lots of fruit. And actually, I'm not going to apologise for that. I think that's a good thing that lonely people find good homes. And Jesus said that it's not the healthy that need a doctor; it's those that are sick. So what he means is, look, it's those people that know they have needs are the ones that will find the solution to their needs. So Jesus went and hung out with people that were outcasts of society. So he did that, and so we as Christians should do that too. But not only that, and I think so. I've got many examples of people that were not poor and needy and lonely who bowed the knee to King Jesus eventually and became Christians. There's plenty of examples of that that I can talk to you about if you want to hear some of those. But at the same time, if there is a question that if we do end up reaching people that are needy, how do we guard against some sort of abuse of them? I think that's a really good question, which I think is kind of where you're going with that. Maybe not. But that is a question I've asked myself. But it shouldn't surprise us either, and it doesn't surprise you that people are willing to believe things in order to be together in community for a couple of reasons. One, I believe we were made that way. I believe that God designed us to need one another, to need community. And a community is a group of people that are gathered around something. Communities aren't; they have to have something at the core in order to become a community. Whether that might be a political ideal, or it might be a family unit, or it might be a culture, or it might be a people group, it might be an ideology, it might be a lot of things. But a community is gathered around something, and the individuals in that community who gather around it will, to some degree, become like the community that they're a part of, or the ideal, or whatever is at the core of it, whether that's for good or ill. So then the question I have as a Christian minister is, what kind of community do I want to build? What is that thing that we want to build that community around? That's the most loving and protective and wonderful thing to be a community built around. And I would answer that is the centre of the Christian community should be Jesus Christ, the most loving man who ever lived, who hung out with people that were outcast, who other people would call tax collectors and sinners. Jesus had no problem with hanging out with them. He spent most of his time with people like that. A man who, as he was being nailed to a cross, was able to say, "Father, forgive them; they don't know what they're doing." And ultimately, a man who was God, who gave up, who laid aside his majesty, as an English song says. He laid aside his majesty, gave up everything for me, suffered at the hands of those he had created. So Jesus is the one who became like us, took on all our weaknesses and frailties to die in our place so that we could be forgiven and have a relationship with God and be in community with God himself. So I want to be more like him. And if I'm building any community, I want it to become more like him day by day. So I think Jesus is the best thing any human organization or any human thing can build their communities and their relationships around. So that's how I'd start with that, with thinking about that. And then you ask about people who, in order to belong, are fake, speaking in tongues and other stuff. And yeah, of course that happens. I think it's, to some degree, it's inevitable. It probably happens in any type of community. But you're right; it's something that should be protected against. I mean, yeah, I suspect I've seen this before, not with tongues, but with other things. I've certainly seen it in other groups. I think one of the dangers is, like in groups like Mormonism and Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that, is that they hold you so tightly, and the community is so tightly wound around a very specific set of ideas that if you doubt and you share those doubts, then you risk being alienated from the community. So instead of being honest about the things you're struggling with, you hide them, and then you put on a mask and you pretend to be something other than you're not. And I think that's a bad thing, and we really don't want that. So how do we protect against that sort of thing? Um, I think my answer would be, the Christian response would be something like this: that as a Christians, we should see that everybody is made in the image of God. So everybody has value and worth, regardless of whether they agree with me or not. So everybody is valuable, everybody is beautiful, everybody is wonderful. No matter how broken they might be on the outside, no matter what they've done in the past, what they're doing right now, they are of value, and we should love them, because that's what God calls us to do. You've heard me talk about hospitality if you watched all my videos. And I would say that Christian hospitality, isn't just for Christians. Christian hospitality should be open to all, without finding fault. So anybody is allowed around my dinner table with my family, and we want to welcome anyone in our home, whether they agree with us or not, whether they believe what we believe or not. In fact, I want to invite honesty. So tell me if you disagree with me, and that's okay. We can talk about it. We can laugh about it. We can agree to differ. Even maybe you'll never become a Christian. You don't have to become a Christian for me to love you. I think that's really important. And the other thing is not to be afraid of doubts. I think, like we were talking about these other groups where they're afraid of doubts. They don't want people to bring the doubts up. Now, why is that? Why would anyone be afraid of doubts if you're following a specific belief system? Well, the answer is they've got to be that you're not really convinced that you have the truth, because I believe truth is discovered through exploration. And if it's really true, it will be able to stand up against the biggest questions we can throw at it. So we shouldn't be afraid of people sharing their doubts, whether they're believers or unbelievers. If you've got doubts, let's talk about them. And I've found that most of the doubts that I've had, still struggle with, other people have had, and I'm able to learn from the Christian community and maybe find answers for some of those. And I haven't got answers for all of them yet, but I've got enough answers to know that Jesus is the answer. And I believe Jesus is a strong enough person, a strong enough God, a strong enough King to take all the doubts we can throw at him. So we shouldn't be afraid of those. We should welcome them, knowing that he is the truth. Not because we believe anything goes, you can believe whatever you want, but because truth matters, and the truth can withstand all we can throw at it. So then you go into what your question really is. I've not really answered your real question, but hopefully some of these things will make sense. So does it matter to you whether people join the church if they really believe in Jesus, or if they feel they have to act as if they do in order to get rejected from the community? Yes, it does matter. That matters to me a lot. I want people to know Jesus as their personal saviour. That's what people really need. I don't want people to pretend that they know him in order to be part, to feel like they have friends in the community, or to be part of the community, to enjoy some aspects of the Christian community. I want them to truly believe it's true. Why? Because I truly believe it's true. And I don't believe pretending to love Jesus will save you ultimately. So ultimately, I want people to genuinely believe it. But at the same time, wanting to protect people from having to fake it. So how do you do that? Well, I think while only a genuine Christian can be a member of a church, at the same time, I would say that everybody, whether they believe or not, whatever stage they're at, they're welcome to be a part of the journey with the church. So they're welcome to eat with Christians. They're welcome to spend time with them. They're welcome to be their friends, to play with their kids, to hang out. They're welcome to be a part of everything they do, is how I would say it. And hopefully some people along the way will find the belief that maybe they're looking for. But I don't want to pressure people to say, well, you can't come to my house for dinner unless you believe. I want people to think that. So I would guard against it. Again, because Jesus hung out with tax collectors and sinners. He welcomed all who wanted to come. And there's no indication that everybody that Jesus ate with became a Christian. In fact, we know that's not true. Many people rejected him ultimately, but he did that. He didn't welcome at his table. I mean, he even had Judas at his table. He knew Judas was going to betray him, but Judas was welcome at his table. He welcomed Judas to be really close. So I think we should be modelling that in our Christian communities as well. Everyone's welcome, whether you believe or not, but only those who truly believe can be members of the church. And I think that distinction is important as well, because we don't want people to we want people to know that it's true belief that matters. So That's why you have to have that line of membership. We don't want people to think they have to fake it. Yeah, I think. But along that, I would also have two clarifications. I've already said one of those. The second clarification I wanted to make was, I think there are limits to that as well. So I would say the limit is if someone comes into the community to intentionally do damage to the community, then of course you need to close the door to that person. Always being willing to open it up again if they have a change of heart, or if you can. We should always want people to become part of the community. And then, can a church flourish without social community? The answer, I would say no. The church cannot flourish without a social community. Church means gathering. If you look at Acts chapter 2, the earliest Christians, they met daily and they shared everything they had. And I think that's a model of what happens when someone becomes a Christian. That they realize we're here, we're in this together, and we should love one another as Christ has loved us. A church might exist without community, but it cannot thrive. That's what a church is supposed to be. I mean, I might even go as far as to say a church that's filled on a Sunday with people who don't know each other or love each other, and it's no more than that. They only meet on the Sunday. They never hang out. They never really need to talk on Sunday. They never get past hi there and hellos. Then they probably don't know the gospel of Jesus Christ. They probably don't know the gospel, and therefore it's not really a Christian community. And then your other question is, could a social community flourish without the church? Yes, I'd say to a degree it can. I mean, they do every day, don't they? And I'm glad they do, and I'm glad they can. I am part of other communities that aren't Christian ones. I have meaningful relationships with people that aren't Christians, and I always want to have those. I think that's important. I don't want to just live in my own Christian bubble. I want to experience relationships with lots of other people. Of course, so that being said, that Christianity is my core identity. That's the most important social group that I'm a part of. But at the same time, I go back to that word flourish. What does that mean? If it means, as I would define it, to enjoy community as God originally intended it to be in all its fullness. So to enjoy community as God intended and designed it to be. Excuse me. I'd say, then no, it can't flourish in that way, because we were made to experience a loving community that reflects the goodness and character of Jesus. So they can be great, they can be awesome, but the best community, the most important community, I believe, is one that's built around Jesus. So yes, to a degree, to a large degree, I think they can flourish. I think they're great, wonderful things. But the best community, the only community that can truly and absolutely fully flourish in every meaning of that word is the Christian community. Well, I hope you found some of that interesting. Please feel free to respond either here or posting a video or whatever. I'd love to hear from you again, Rob. I'd love to hear your story. So I hope that's okay. God bless you. Bye.